Meaning everything you've ever been to is what's made you the great person that's worth having in one's life. All God creates is now. Now and now and now. And now. Your story is taxing. Your story is exhausting. Being a relative of your story is rough. No one needs your story, man. This will be fun. Everyone raise your hand if you're going through something right now, just something in your life you're going through, that you'd love to be already on the other side of that, like kind of laughing about like what you had to go through. Raise your hand if you're going through anything in your life right now, even a small thing, that you wouldn't mind being on the other side of that. Like, for example, my other 6 kids getting married. I'd love to be on the other side of that and laughing. Okay, so raise your hand. Where'd the hands go? Keep your hands up. Okay, now, put them down. Now, as usual, what we found is that about 90+% of the people in the room are going through something. And that's because 90+% of the 7 billion people on the planet are going through something that they'd rather be on the other side of. Now, sometimes those things are rough. Sometimes you're going to a therapist, you're calling lawyers, you'll do anything to get out of there. Like, just get me out of this thing. And sometimes you can't get out. Might be medical, like who knows what it is. And sometimes it's got a timeline that you can't speed up, that you're just going to have to go through this. But here's the amazing thing, is who you are today is a result of it. Meaning everything you've ever been to is what's made you the great person that's worth having in one's life. Think about it. You all want to be married, those who are single, you'd like to be married. And the reason why it might be worth being married to you is because of what you went through has refined you. It has sanded you down into a beautiful vessel for real relationship. It has made you the pleasure that you are, unless you've come out bitter. Some people come out bitter. But the bitter people generally are on the atheist side. But let me keep going with that. Who you've become is as a result of everything you've been through. Now, here I have a question. Tell me, would you be willing to let go of everyone you've become to get rid of everything you had to go through? Would you let go of everything you've become, and what you get is you didn't have to go through whatever you went through? Raise your hand if you'd let go of it. Nobody. And which is like bizarre. It's totally bizarre. Nobody's willing to let go of it. And I've had people raise their hand and say that they let go of it, but I've also had a man raise his hand in this class, in this room, raised his hand, and he says, as much as he wished his son stayed alive, he lost a child. As much as his son stayed alive, the crazy odyssey, which included an immediate divorce soon after the death, but the incredible odyssey that he went through as a result of his child's death, and to find meaning in this world, when the one thing he thought was meaningful disappeared. The incredible odyssey that he went through, he told this entire class. He said that I wouldn't have traded, and he says, as much as I wish I had my son, I wouldn't have traded it for the incredible journey and who I've become as a result of my search since then. And that's the worst that can happen, really. They say of all the things that can happen to a person, that's like, it's up there with rape or something like that. That's of the worst things that can happen to a human being. And so it gets a little strange for all of us that we all want out of whatever we're going through. We'd love to be on the other side of it, yet that is the very thing that God has brought you to massage your self into being the person that's worth having in a relationship, worth having at a dinner table, worth having at Thanksgiving, worth having around. What makes you worth having around, and it's fun to be with you and you're a good person, is the stuff you've been through. So why the hell do you want to get out of it? Why do you always want to get out of it? Why are you constantly trying to get out of what you're going through rather than squeezing that orange to get the juice out of it. And see what it can bring you. See who you become as a result of it. Whatever you're going through, take a deep breath and go through it. It's like sports massage. You ever had a sports massage? That ain't fun. Not from the beginning to the end. It's just not. But if you've just done, 30, 40 kilometers the day before and having that not fun time, having someone just kill you on a massage table, it's just the way to go. It's pain you opt for. And marriage is pain you opt for. That's why it's got to be so damn hard to get out. Because intimate relationships are painful. It's not easy to be married. It's not easy to have a parent or have children. It's tough. And it's got to be hell to pay to get out. And then you can maybe break through it. Maybe then you can grow from it. We only grow from stuff we can't get out of. Because there's 7 billion people on the planet right now today who would tell you that what they went through 10 years ago, you could take every one of them, all 7 billion people, and take them back 10 years before and give them a little snapshot, a little flash of what they were going through. And it could have been quite bad, depending on the country, political unrest and stuff. But you take them all the way back to the situation they were going through. And you ask them now, would you trade it? And the other thing you can ask them, and this is a very important point, and this is where the God part comes in, is do you see how it was part of the puzzle? Do you see how this part of the narrative was absolutely essential for who you are today? And that you needed this to go forward. You needed this. You were born to have this. And the answer is that if you ask 7 billion people, I don't think you'd get a whole 7 billion people. Here it was unanimous. No one raised their hand. But I don't think it would be unanimous, but I would say that the vast majority, meaning in the 90 plus 95 percentile, that you'd have 7 billion people saying that whatever the hell they went through was meant to be. There's a shortcut for all this. I don't mean to market myself here, but there is a shortcut for all of this. And that is, instead of being a God seminar, which really takes years, like about 90, instead of being in God's seminar where you got to kind of surrender yourself to what you're going through and grow from it, is there are such things, and I happen to have been trained into being one of them, is there are such things as putting yourself in the line of fire of a personal transformation leader. He'll put you through it all in a matter of days. And it'll be painful. You'll have to surrender. You're going to cry your eyes out. You're going to sob like a baby, probably in fetal position. You're going to go through hell. It's going to be really hard. You're going to have to open it all up and unpack your bags and see what each item is inside there and realize how your narrative is your personal narrative is crushing your life. But you can do that work. I think it's highly suggested. You know why? Some people tell me, can't I just be on God's plan, And I'm like, yeah, go tell that to your spouse. Your spouse is like, come on already. Grow out of that character trait that's messing you up, messing me up by being married to it. And how about our kids? Our kids have an intravenous drip line from our best, but also our worst. And so, yeah, you'll probably grow out of it after you go through enough stuff in God's seminar, but today you can actually do this kind of a synthetic God seminar where you put yourself in the line of fire of a seminar leader. And you should know that people who really get that come more than once, because you start to haze over after a while. You lose it. You got to come back. You can even go back to, you can go to another kind or you can go to the same one, but you will find yourself like an onion with layers of stuff that if you leave yourself to your own devices, you'll probably never get out of that stuff, at least till you're old. You can get into real time, but it's much better to put yourself in the line of fire. Do you understand that self-identity doesn't exist? Self-image doesn't exist? Can you think of anything more scary than losing your own self-image? Can you think of anything more scary than ego death? That who you are doesn't exist. And guess what? It doesn't. Think about it. The less ego you have, the happier you are, the more at peace you are, the less insults. You become Teflon to insults. You don't exist anyway. All you are is a soul with a body. And that just makes you holy, special, and energized, and shape-shifting. Because you think about it, if you're just a soul and a body, well, whatever circumstances come up for you, you can wear a hat for that. I can be someone who can help that lady with her overhead roller bag play Tetris, and I can be the guy who's helpful with people's roller bags on that airplane. And then I can come home and be a father, and I can go be a husband, and I can be in any position that God throws my way. I am flexible, and I am malleable, and I am fluid. And I live in miracles, because once I know that, well, now I get to push the envelope. Because once you start pushing the envelope, you force God's hand to give you what is called siyata d'shmaya, which means miracles. If you're not getting miracles in your life, it's because you're not pushing hard enough. It's because you're too scared. If you're not getting miracles in your life, it's because you're just too scared of your own shadow. And you know what you're scared of? You're scared that your self-image will get dented. You're scared of becoming less by failure, or becoming less by a rejection, or being less by having a boss tell you what to do. It's all, what's ruining your life is self-image. And what will make your life is getting rid of the damn thing. But our self-image is so crummy that we can't help our self-image is so crummy, and we're addicted to it because we're so scared of being nobody, that we will do the wrong things just to maintain being that guy with the crummy self-image. So we can have a bone to pick with society, with the education system, with our parents, with our religion, with you name it, we'll point our finger at it. But when you point your finger at something, you got to realize there are three more pointing right back at you. Where are these three fingers pointing? Everyone say right back at you.
Right back at you.
Put it right back at you, because you're running a racket, man. You're running a racket, and you're the one who's paying for it. You're running a racket, and you're the one losing. And time is ticking, and the only thing there is now. Your self-image doesn't exist, and time doesn't exist. All there is now. Think about it. If I ran into you if I could time travel back 3 years ago and ask you what time it is, you'd have no choice but to tell me it's now. And if I ran into you 10 years ago and asked you, hey, what time is it? You'd have to say, well, I'm not sure, but it's definitely now. Have you ever experienced anything but now? That's all you get. So all of you are thinking that somehow you're going to get on the other side of now. Good luck. Because you've never once, not even once, experienced anything but now your entire life. It does not exist. In other words, you're insane. You know why you're insane? Because the definition of insanity is someone out of touch with reality. Because sanity means you're in touch with reality. All that's ever happened in reality is now. And the fact that you live your life in a constant postponement for future betterment, that somehow it's going to be better, and that somehow you got to just hold on until you get there, that's scrap. You've never experienced anything but now, and you either make now awesome because it is, because you think you're going to somehow, you think when you get to where it's going to be better, you're going to somehow get off of your years and years and years of living in the future, or for a future. You think that's going to go away? It doesn't. It doesn't go away. You either start practicing now to live in reality and sanity, to be sane. You either practice now on being a sane human being, or get used to insanity, because that's what you're going to wind up with, because you're in there now, postponing life. God does not create time. Show me in Genesis where God creates time. That wasn't one of the creations. All God creates is now. Now and now and now and now. And he put a soul that is perfectly, fiber optically linked to now. But he put it inside a body. That body's got a brain and a story it tells itself. A whole narrative it tells itself about its life. And then spends the rest of its life defending its story till they bury you. You know what they'll put on your tombstone? Nice story. Put on your tombstone, nice story. You know what they're going to write right under nice story? Not. Not. Your story is taxing. Your story is exhausting. Being a relative of your story is rough. No one needs your story, man. Start being a person who is of service. Stop being the stink bug in everyone's life and start being a person. Start being a person of service in this world.